Hello and welcome to the ORCA Pod, the Apex Predators of Australian Survivor LRG podcasting, covering Backyard Survivor Season 5. One well, we've hit the merge. Advantages are everywhere. I'm sure we'll be talking about that and how the players are playing this plethora of advantage season. We see the end of redemption in a fantastic True to Survivor duel. And we have not one, not two, but 3 interviews this week. So stay with us. It might be a longish episode, but there's 3 boots, 3 interviews. We'll get through them. They're good interviews, so stick with them. They're shortish, 10 minutes. Stay with them. Great to catch up with Altus, Coach, and Mel. Before we get into some of those interviews, though, let me bring in my fabulous co-hosts. As we have Dani.
Hi. This is a big episode with big things to discuss and big interviews I'm excited to see.
And Jules, welcome.
Hello. I'm so ready to get into all of this with you two because I feel like there's going to be a lot of hot takes.
Well, Mark's here. I don't think Mark's joined us live before.
Mark's here because we're going to talk about him the whole episode. Let's be real. He's here.
Yeah.
He wants
Can
to
we
be
just
praised.
get the ORCA out of the way, Mark? You're the ORCA of the episode.
I wrote holy ORCA energy.
Mark sent me a message saying, "Oh, can't wait to hear what you have to say this week," and I just responded with the eggplant emoji.
There's a lot to say. So much. Some positive, some negative.
Yeah, there's an incredible movie that I think is amazingly done. So we'll be talking about that in due course. But let's just do a little bit of redemption, and then we'll bring in the redemption interviews, and then we'll crank on with the show.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Mark's happy with the analysis. What do we think of the final?
There's a little bit on each of the tribe before we get to redemption. Nothing too exciting. Takan is just feeling like he needs to tell everyone about this legacy advantage, which, okay, good. I don't agree with that, but anyway.
We've had this debate. Let's move on.
Yeah, we've talked about this. We'll talk about it later, I'm sure. Mark did hand the extra vote off to Hayley. I don't mind this. She's sort of like, oh, what are you doing? But then at the same time goes, oh, well, yeah, so I trust him. So I think that's smart. Extra vote, not the most powerful thing. So if she turns on him, whatever. Other than that, I don't really see that much to talk about before we get to redemption.
On to Khan and the legacy advantage, and I've recorded my views, and I do think there is value in sharing it with some core members of your alliance, because if they screw you over, you're not giving it to them.
Your point was that assuming that you play it at the first opportunity to do so, which we will discuss later.
That's fine, but equally, he's now telling too many people. Once everyone knows about this thing, then they don't really care. Well, everyone knows. Like, he'll just give it to me because he likes me. Well, everyone's going to vote for him anyway. Like, there becomes a point where you've told too many people, and then no one is worried about betraying you and somebody else getting the advantage. It was more valuable, I think, solidifying.
Yeah, but anyway.
I think there's more value solidifying relationships on the original Pink Tribe and telling them than there were here now.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to get into the interviews.
We'll get to that.
Well, let's talk about the challenge before we get to the interviews. It's a good challenge.
We'll get to the Takan side of things. We'll get to that later. The redemption challenge. This was a classic Survivor challenge. The balancing the blocks on the wobbly stand. If Altus could spell, he would be back in the game. But it is not. I've got here some of his incorrect spellings. It's not Backyard Survivor. It's not Backyard Survivor.
It wasn't spelling error. He can't see the words.
No, so he can't see. And I like that they didn't have the letters on both sides of the block. So you had to take a second to look. Jacob and Mel had no issue doing that. He just, he was rushing. Yeah.
I
don't know what his technique was on holding that beam up there. He was crushing that part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, had the balance down pat.
Well, they both he and Mel talk about their approach to the challenge. Would you like to hear Altus or Mel first for the interview?
I'm excited to hear both. So
let's go alphabetical order.
Okay, let's bring in Altus. I must say, this is a fascinating interview because the person we saw on the show, they're like, oh, yeah, cool. Like, maybe we'll show, Mark, I voted for you. That is not the person I interviewed. He was drugged up to hell with all those injuries and was definitely a different person than what we actually saw on the show compared to who he is in real life. So get ready for the much more active and frantic Altus.
Okay, let's go. Okay.
Hi, Altus. Welcome to the ORCA Pod. So glad to have you here. I got to ask, have you had any major accidents before coming onto this interview?
Luckily not yet. Honestly, it's been no. So fingers crossed I don't have anything after this. But so as far as we sit right here now, nothing.
You have to be one of the toughest people that's ever gone on an LRG. Those injuries looked rough. Were they more rough than you were letting on while you're on camera?
They were, let's just say that they were real for people who were okay. They were genuinely real. Okay, right before we all sort of set up to meet, yes, I was in a motorbike accident. I was going on the freeway, and this lady just didn't see me. Luckily, luckily I was slowing down because there's a bit of traffic ahead of me. I slowed down, and then this lady decided to sideswipe me, and I slid on some pavement for a bit, or asphalt, whatever you want to call it. And injuries were very sustained. So literally the day beforehand was like, seriously, I was sleep deprived. I was probably, I came from the hospital probably that morning, and then that afternoon we all met up. And so it was gnarly. It was a whole sensation of like, okay, I'm in pain. I'm on painkillers. These bandages had to probably be replaced probably every 5 or 6 hours, but because we're running around doing all the survival challenges and all these things, I had to probably do them a bit more frequently. And I had to pop more painkillers. So that's one thing you probably don't know, is that I was popping painkillers pretty regularly because like at some points I had muscle spasms because all the muscles just didn't like everything that was going on. I still have now, I've got a bit of scarring from all the accidents, but it was genuinely probably the weirdest things I've done, because I would try to sort of, probably for the whole challenge thing, I tried to sort of like, just because I was in an accident, I wanted to persevere and push through. Like, just, it's not the end of the world that I was in an accident. Granted, a few hours beforehand, I was off my motorbike, but I really wanted to sort of show up and say, yes, I can do this, and not be seen as like a weakling because of it. So
I don't
maybe
think
I'm done.
would have called you a weakling for not participating. Obviously, you're incredibly tough. A couple of things I want to dive into there. Are you a big fan of Survivor? What encouraged you to apply for Backyard?
Honestly, it was, and then I'm gonna say this. Like, I know this Brian and Kyle. Like, I've met them for other projects and sort of just know about them. And sort of then I found out the Backyard Survivor. I was like, this would be something I could give a go. So just put my hand up at least to say that I was like more than happy to give it a shot. But Survivor as a whole, I watch it kind of casually, regularly, like not regularly, but like, if it's a cool episode comes up or an exciting challenge or something that pops up on social media platforms or something, that's just like a little clip, or if like, I don't know, if it's a really intriguing season, I might jump in. Yeah, depending if I've been spammed with ads or something, I might watch it. But like, I'm not the avid Survivor watcher, as like a lot of the contestants, like who are like, they were going up against some really tough competition who were sort of really like, I knew what they were doing. Yeah, they know what they were doing. Like, and so I'm the one that's just like, hey.
Well, let's dive in a little bit to your strategy, and I wonder if the painkillers are a factor here, because you did sometimes just seem just like really like chill. Yeah, let's do this, let's do that. Hey, here's my advantage, everyone. Hey, Mark, I voted for you. Like, you didn't seem concerned about hiding any of this. Is that your style, or is that you were a bit drugged up on pretty hard painkillers?
A bit of both, honestly. Like, because it was just really just like an overwhelming experience when you sort of first step into that sort of like, there's things happening, and it happens all so quick. And here I am hobbling with painkillers. Like, my original strategy from like Meet the Cast video was like, I want to tackle the producers. I really want to like find a way to sort of almost beat every single game or challenges they put in front of us. I really had this sort of massive mindset. This is what I was going to do. And lo and behold, comes the day. Here I am, exhausted on painkillers, not knowing my left foot from my right foot, and just trying to sort of just like, I literally just tried to survive the challenges and try to make the day meet, essentially. And so it was really sort of just like, I'm just going to be open, and like, I've got nothing to hide. This is who I am. Hopefully it gets me far enough, or it gets me far enough to enjoy the game or just have a bit of fun. And so I just try to show up. I literally like, I'm here. Cool.
Can you talk us through why you voted for Mark on the first vote when no one else did? and then why you so easily owned up to it when you could have hidden in a pretty large group?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I jumped on initially because I gave him the advantage initially for the sort of clue and idol, and I was like, all right, cool. I would really like to work with him because Mark seemed like his whole personality and whole way he carried himself, especially with the sort of initial challenge that we did to get started. He seemed to carry himself with like a great amount of vigor, and I was like, okay, I really would love to sort of, even if I just get to work with him, we'll just do some challenges, or just sort of be in a team with him. So I was like, all right, I'm going to give him the challenge and or sort of the clue and see where that goes. And then I spoke around and sort of chatted around with everyone, had to tick the names off. And so I was gathering all this information about, okay, yeah, our list said you have to vote this person off. Our list said you have to vote this person off. And then Mark, I don't know if it was in the episode, but then Mark told us about his clue, and he was like, "Oh no,
He was being dodgy about it." Yeah,
he was being dodgy about it. I was like, "Oh, Tommy's name's not on it," and I was like, "Hold on, if his name's on it, but okay." And then I went back to all the other contestants who also got the clues, like the green team, and I asked them. I was like, I think it was Zoe, and she said, "Oh yeah, no, we had all the people that are in her block and the green team initially." I was like, "Oh," so that was a big revelation for me. It's like, okay, this guy that I thought was like really vigor, I could really work with him. He's like trying to flip the script here. He's obviously doing something that's like, oh, I know straight away, like the first thing in the game, he's trying to sort of be in control. And I was like, oh, I don't like that. He's like really just having a grip. And I was like, oh, I really want to sort of just challenge it and meet it head on. And yeah, and I was like, again, I think probably from the painkillers and just being a bit of pain, I was like, you know what? Yep, I did it. I'm guilty. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I voted for you, buddy. What are you gonna do about it?
So then you go into the group of Orange, and I wonder. Now they're all starting with the plan that if they lose, you're gone, and then you never lose. And over time, they all start perhaps thinking, actually, let's keep Aldous and boot Mark. And now you never end up having that tribal council. But when you were there, did you feel at the start that you're at the bottom, and then your relationships improving, or did you not really realize any of that was going on?
I do honestly. When I joined the Orange team, I felt like so out of place. I was just like, what am I doing here? Like, I was like, I made an enemy, and right now, because Mark was so convincing, he was such a believable character. Like, he played that. He's got a fantastic game. And so with us just sort of in that team, he was playing it so well. Watching the episode, is it bad to say he was very conniving? He was very like a believable person. It was so cunning. Like, it's actually just fascinating to watch.
I think he would be proud for you to hear you say that. I think that's what he was trying to do.
Mark's such a lovable dude, and I was like, I'll tell him. He was like, granted, I'm like, I was in Fairyland, and he was like, he was switched on. I was not, and so, and so he was.
You were there. You were there to party, and he was there. He was there for business.
Honestly, like it was working his magic, and that's what he did. And he sort of pulled everyone. He's like, no, this is what is going on. He was so believable, and even just our confessions and just sitting in that sort of space, it was really just. It probably was intentional, but like I could feel that I was like, oh, I am the black sheep in the group here. Like, if I was going to get voted out, like, this is how it's going to go. So I had to really show up and prove that, hey, I'm willing to fight. I'm willing to sort of step up. And I think that was probably the time where I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to push through this pain. I'm just going to have to pop more painkillers. I'm just going to really, prove my salt and sort of show that I'm worthy to being on this team. And so it was really, I was like, that's the point where I was like, suck it up, Aldous. You made enemies now. And I was like, well.
Then you found the beware advantage. You shared it. And then they're like, are you going to, should we share this with Mark? Because Mark wasn't there. And you're like, yeah, of course, we'll share with everybody. And then you had to obviously hand off the ribbons. You had quite an eventful period having to manage all of these twists while in the pain and building your relationship. You then get swapped, and you're in a bad swap. There's 3 original pinks and you, and you go to Kate. You decide she's the one I'm going to put my trust in, and that completely blows up on you. How did that feel in that moment?
Oh, to be honest with you, at that point, I think I had to swap. At that point, I think I was just, the painkillers have really generally kicked in, and I was just okay. I'm gonna stop blaming the painkillers at this point. I was like, I was just like, I was borderline defeated. I was like, dude, I've got
You
no
looked
more
a bit
orange
defeated
stick.
then. You did.
I was like, I have no hope. This is my last ditch attempt. I was like, I'm gonna throw this and see what sticks. And I was like, Kate was like, she's genuinely such an endearing person. She was so endearing. She sort of chatted to me. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was like, so I fell into it. I was like, all right, I'll believe you. This is what I've got. Let's see what happens. And then it went from there. And again, yeah, it was just like, all right, I'm going to confide in Kate, and then hopefully things work out in the way they did. And then, yeah, and then we got to with DC and coach when then it was revealed that Kate didn't have a vote and all that jazz. And I was like, oh, okay, how can I play this? How can I try and mastermind this? But I was just like, my brain was, I was not functioning. I was like, dude, was going through my mind. I was so exhausted. I was like, I am outnumbered. What can I do? I'm just going to throw Hail Marys and see what sticks. And I was like, well, I only can be what I am. So like I said before, like I was just going to be honest, be open book. This is who I'm voting for. This is the reason why. If you want to jump aboard, you can. If not, I'm just going to be authentic. And I'm just going to show up. Hopefully that will resonate with someone. Hopefully that will, tick the right boxes. But it went the way it went. And I was like, well, this is it. And I had some people like tell me, like, why didn't you play your dice, the dice thing? I was like, I genuinely, yeah, I shot in the dark. Yeah. Why didn't I play my shot in the dark? I was like, I didn't even think about it because I was just like, oh yeah, I could do that.
What you did think about though was you go to Redemption and you have an absolute like A-class strategy for getting those blocks on that pillar. The problem, and you did it so quickly. The problem was you just went so quickly that you kept missing some letters here and there. I think there was a tile that you hadn't stacked properly. But you were going. It was amazing how quickly you were putting that together, and it just wasn't even moving. It was stable. What was that a strategy you had going in, or did you just think this is how I'm going to do it? Like boom, 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 stack it and quick.
Okay, I'll be honest with you. So at that point, we've been filming for a lot of time. We've been shooting for so long, and I think it's been a few hours since I had my last painkillers. So I was like, my brain was on the edge of waking up, and I was like, okay, how can I looked in the challenge before. I was like, I really want to keep playing this game. I really want to win Redemption. I really want to keep going. So I was like, how can I make this really easy with this whole challenge of stacking those tiles? How can I make this just as smooth as I possibly can? So I don't think you can see that in the edit, but they sort of probably cut it out. But literally before we started, I was just staring at this puzzle. I was like, what can I do? Emotions. I was literally like just visualizing the whole puzzle for myself and putting it together. And I was like, well, if I stack all the tiles up, I can literally just stand there and literally bring my hammer back and just place it. And I wouldn't have to second guess if I think the letters and whatnot. What I didn't account for, this is the ID, what was it called? The ID 10T mistake, the idiot mistake, was they had this massive light to shine up, obviously to light up the whole cassette. And so I would eventually sometimes look back, but without realizing my whole body casts a shadow on all the tiles. So I could only see somewhat of I could see like the stack, but if I got to the lower point, I could only see maybe 2 or 3 left. Without realizing, I missed like the bottom 2 from a mirror, or like there's a few that I missed. And I just was like, oh, okay. I thought I got everything because you see me celebrating, like, I got everything. There's nothing left. And I was just like, no, that's not correct. I was like, what do you mean? That's all the tiles. Yeah. And then at that point, I was just like, I can't see anything behind me because there's this massive like beaming light just blurring my vision. At the same time, like, it's everything. I was so honestly when I stacked everything out perfectly stable, I was like, surely. And then I just remember was it Brian? Brian was like, that's not correct. I'm like, huh? What do you mean? I was so deflated even more at that point. I was like, oh man, that was probably like a kick in the teeth at that point. I was just like, oh yeah, I got this, and then it's like, nah, sorry, buddy.
Well, it was a bit of a brutal ending to a brutal effort, but a lot of people will go on these LRGs, and I've covered a lot of them now, and you don't make the merge, but you're sort of a character that sort of disappears into the background and isn't part of the story. Like that was not the case for you. You had the rogue vote. You're telling Mark about it. You then go into a tribe with Mark. You're building up that relationship. They eventually get to the point they like you more than Mark. You get swap screwed. You actually try to make that work out for you. You throw everything you can at the wall. Doesn't work because the Pinks were just the most loyal group of all time, which makes it difficult. Have a great strategy. The challenge doesn't quite work out. All while goofed up on painkillers after what looked like an incredibly painful injury, and just backing it up and showing up and not quitting. at all. You never quit. This is the point. You always kept going. And I don't think anyone has had that level of adversity through a whole day of an LRG in the 111 episodes that exist. You know, that was an incredible effort that you've gone through to get there, and I think you should be super proud of yourself. I'm sure you are. I've been fascinated by this interview, I must say, because this artist that I'm talking to right now is quite like boom, 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 ideas, like really like frantic in the way we're chatting and talking. And obviously the one on the show was doped up on painkillers. He was like, oh yeah, like let's go, cool.
Did you see what I was dealing with? But oh, dude, like I am surprised I even got that far as I got. I was hoping maybe for 10. The fact that I got to where I was and still like somewhat functioning and still somewhat completing challenges and just sort of my brain still somewhat being present with all these things going on. Like, yeah. And thank you for the kind words, Chris. Like I should hire you as my hype man, dude. Honestly, it was just, that was, if you, like, you listed all those things. I was like, that's awesome. Like, if you really think about it, like all these sort of roadblocks, but it's honestly, like, you might think about it, like, yeah, it was actually like the most awesomest experience. Awesomest? Oh, yeah, we'll go with that.
Awesome,
awesomest.
Awesome.
It was a fantastic experience, like doing all those challenges, just sort of being a part of that world. It was, I can't describe it to anyone. It's a surreal moment. Like even after we finished shooting and everything was done, I was still sort of just reminiscing on all the like choices I could have made. Like the post effects of this whole thing was just, it's probably going to stay with me for a lifetime because it was really just, it was a fantastic game to play. Like it was just really cool.
Great. Thank you, Ashes. Really appreciate your time and your words.
Thank you so much.
Just me for some reason. Hello.
No, I'm here. I love that Altus.
That is not who we saw.
That Altus, like I want to see that Altus come back and play. Like that Altus is fun. I want to play with that Altus like that. Like he is a bundle of energy. I loved that. That was fantastic.
He needs a redo.
Absolutely.
So different, but yeah, the drugs were obviously having an impact. They were chilling him the fuck out.
Yeah, they'd really doped him down. That was fun. I really liked that. That was great.
All right, we'll get the interview with Mel now, and then we'll get on with our coverage. Just stick with us. We've got plenty to come. Here comes our interview with Mel.
ORCA Pod, you are actually the first ever two-time guest to appear on the ORCA Pod. I'm sure that must make you very proud.
Thanks, CK. No, good to be here, and I can't believe I am. Like, you haven't had any returning players on yet?
Well, we have. Like, Calvin was on twice during the rank down coverage, but in terms of like a player that we interviewed for their season, and then have interviewed for their season, because the first season the ORCA Pod actually covered, though it wasn't called officially at the start, obviously came about during the season, was Canberra season 2. You've now come out and played again. How was it playing a second time compared to playing your first time? Obviously not as successful, but obviously in both situations your tribes were decimated early.
Yeah, just when I thought we knew couldn't get any worse, then in comes Canberra. Definitely not. Definitely haven't had luck with tribe success. I like to think it's not me. But yeah, no, didn't have the best run with the old green tribe. But yeah, I mean, look, I like my green tribe. At the end of the day, everyone's got their survivor fate, and this is mine.
Do you think there's, as someone who knows the game as well as you do you think there's anything you could have done to generate a different outcome?
Yeah, probably. I could have picked a different color block on that first challenge. There was a reason why I did it. I'm not going to say names at this point because they're still currently in the game, but there was definitely 2 people in the game that I had discussions with before the first challenge, and they are probably experienced players, and we all knew straight away that those 3 blocks were going to mean that we would split from a one world situation. So we decided to make sure that we had one person in each of those color blocks. And the plan was to get together at merge, but obviously I didn't quite make it. I mean, I could have probably picked the orange block instead of the green, but I actually quite like the people in the green, so I was happy to go there. Just that's the way it happened.
What about when you were in green?
Oh, sorry, orange. Yeah, sorry, because that whole color swap.
No,
Yeah.
no, for me, it's always green. I don't accept this color. I don't live in the color swap canon. That is too difficult to remember.
Yeah.
Put the green blocks are in the green tribe, and I won't be told any different.
Yeah.
The green tribe. Do you think there's anything that you could have done there differently? I'm not sure if there was.
I don't know. I think I did fairly well to get through 3 rounds. Like, given that Luke threw my name out immediately, was quite clearly an ageist player, didn't want to play with anyone that's old. Like, I don't know why, because quite frankly, anyone that knows Survivor knows that an older player is usually a much more loyal player. And I don't know where he got his, I think he said he watched one of my videos or something, but yeah, to be fair, I was drunk as fuck during that Meet the Cast video for Canberra. But like, I'm not like sneaky, and like he was like selling me as some like, I'm cheeky, I like to have fun, but like I'm not a sneaky player. I'm actually a really loyal player. So I mean, he missed out. I could have possibly played with him, and he just was one of those players that was adamant. He was inflexible, and if you're inflexible in this game, you're not going to get far.
Did you watch his interview last week?
No, I saw like a second or two. I had like people here, so I haven't properly watched it.
So yes, he very much said that all he'd seen from Canberra was your Meet the Canberra video, because he and his wife were watching the Meet the Canberra videos in preparation for this season and just discussing what players he thinks he could work with and what players he would want to get rid of, just based on those like Meet the Cast first impressions. And in that video, you said you were sneaky, apparently. And in that video,
I said cheeky, not sneaky. Okay. There's a big difference.
He felt he couldn't work with you from that one little video and wasn't prepared to reset his viewpoints in the game when he met you in person, which is obviously a failing on his part.
Yeah, definitely. You can't be inflexible. You've got to be able to have a fluid game and change it up. Like I think even that last round, I went in feeling like I was going to work with Zoe more, and then Jess said something which switched my mind. So I just felt like long term I could probably be a little bit more bounce strategy off Jess than I did Zoe, which is kind of why in that round I kind of flipped my opinion. And originally, as I said, I was thinking Zoe, probably because I felt like I could probably manipulate her a little bit more than Jess. But I thought from a long-term perspective, Jess would probably be a better option because I felt like I could bounce strategy off her.
Did you feel that Jess and Zoe were a pair that could be broken up? Watching it on the edit, they feel really close.
Yeah, they are. But like, I also feel like Jess had probably more of a what's the right word? Emotional intelligence. So I felt like I could appeal to that. And yeah, I mean, I didn't realize until I was out of the game, but like she's part of like backyard family royalty with the Bulldog family. Like, and once you look at a photo of her, of Zach and Jess, you can't unsee the relationship. I wish I'd figured that out earlier in the game, but yeah, I felt like as much as they were close, I did feel like Jess may have seen an advantage in my experience moving forward.
Ultimately, it didn't come to action. I don't think there's a lot you could have done. As you said, you survived a number of votes.
Yeah.
You'd have to have a time machine, know how it comes about, turn Luke on the first vote somehow and create a 3 with you, him and Kath to change this up. Like, it's the only realistic way you could do it. And that just wasn't on the cards at that early phase. You did go to Redemption, though, and were very impressive. Did you know that you were as good as you were at these challenges?
I'm actually, when I saw that it was the paddle challenge, I was psyched because I'm pretty confident with paddle challenges. I think we had one at Tara's Drunk Viva that I brought down with me.
That was impossible.
For the battle back.
Only Kyle could do it. I couldn't have done that sober.
No, I did. I've done that in 2 minutes.
Oh, wow. This one was harder though. The little letter thing.
Yeah,
It looked
I
very
will
hard.
say it was harder. Once you figured out the strategy of it, to lean it on the balls and to lean it on the actual wood piece, it was quite good. So once I got that strategy and kind of got a rhythm going, it was pretty good. But yeah, that was much easier than that tilt table. That was terrible. Like, I did a test right at the beginning on that tilt table, and it didn't have much give whatsoever before they fell. So I put 2 blocks there and then tested like the angle in which it would fall, and it was very little give. And I think in hindsight, the one regret that I do have was not asking if I could move the table with the blocks closer, because I didn't have the same arm span as the boys did. And I also didn't have the same height as the boys did. So you'll notice in the challenge, I started strategically on the bottom row because that's got a better center of balance. And it took Jacob, I really don't know how long that challenge went for, if I'm honest, but it felt like it went for ages. But I remember Jacob took, like, I don't know, I think probably maybe 20 minutes before he cottoned on and started building from the second row. But yeah, I couldn't reach the top left corner. I just physically couldn't reach it. So I would have struggled. I would have really struggled on that top shelf anyway.
I think that's a fair call, because Altus' strategy, which apart from perhaps being too fast and too reckless and therefore not spelling it correctly, he was very easily just able to grab the letters behind him and put them up there. If you can't easily do that, then it is a disadvantage.
Yeah.
And you can't expect production to be thinking about all these things at all times.
No, and I mean, look, to be fair, Altus stacked his blocks, which I did consider, but given I thought that there was going to be a high fall rate, I didn't want to waste time stacking blocks, but I should have at least done some of it because the table was quite long and backyard is a, 8-letter word. So to try and bring those back blocks forward would have probably been a better strategy, but I just didn't want to waste time in terms of stacking.
Yeah. I think he just had the right strategy, and then probably Jacob picked up on it later. But, incredible performance at the Battlebacks. Not much you can do in the challenge. And, there's only so many people that have had an opportunity to play twice in different franchises in the LRG community. So you're in an elite crew of people. I'm sure you're very proud to be there. Do you have any final reflections upon your experience in these 2 seasons, and having had the opportunity to be in such a big part of the community with 2 appearances?
Yeah, no, I am obviously really grateful. Like, not a lot of people get a shot at a second film season. So for that, I'm really, really grateful. Outside of Canberra, the backyard community was one that I absolutely adored. Like, I had a lot of friends in that community that had played. And so for me, that was a really great opportunity to sort of, widen my Survivor family as such. Sorry, I'm getting a call. I don't know how to end it.
Sorry, nothing's coming up here. I can still see you. Just ignore it.
Okay, cool. So I was really lucky in that respect. I enjoyed meeting Kyle and Brian. Their passion for Survivor is, second to none. And they run a really good quality production. Like, the crew was huge. I was lucky to be part of a crew for 6, so it was great to see it even get even bigger. So I've been very lucky in that respect. I got to meet a number of people like Tara. I'd never met Tara before. Like, obviously we knew of each other, but we hadn't even had fun conversation before this. So she's my little grandmother now. I adore her. And then Kath and I had played a couple of online games before, but didn't really know each other that well. And we're best friends pretty much now. Like, I'm actually going to be moving up to Cairns in April, so we'll be living in the same town. So we'll have a lot of fun moving forward. Yeah.
An amazing story once again of this little game we play, bringing people together. in real life. That's amazing. Thank you, Mel, for coming on, and your obviously frequent comments in the chat. We always love seeing you, and we know you have crewed a lot. So thank you for playing, and also your general contribution to all of these LRGs. I know everyone appreciates you and what you've done.
Thanks, CK, and the same to you. Like, what you do for the community is huge. Like, going back and recapping all the earlier seasons and giving, you know, some of the cast opportunity to be on pods, which, you know, I know that that's a lot of time from you, and your takes time away from your work and your family. So yeah, thanks to what you do.
Thanks, Mel. Of course, I couldn't do it without my fantastic co-hosts as well.
Exactly, the girls.
Thanks, Mel. Appreciate it.
Thanks, see ya.
Oop. Production error there. Apologies. Let's bring everyone back.
Thanks for the shout out at the end.
Yeah, I know.
It's just not on me. I'm happy to share the love. I'm not one of those people that just takes all the credit.
Well, sweet
Share the
Mel,
love.
she's just such a staple of the LRG community. Like, you can't not know and love Mel. She's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. You sat through two interviews. We thank you for sticking with us. I know they're not the most interactive content, but it's great for everyone to have their final word on their season. But now let's get into this hell of an episode.
Let's do it.
All right. So between Redemption and the Summit, we had just some general idol hunting. I'm going to skip that. I want to go straight to the Summit. And I think you two probably both do as well.
Let's do it.
We have two main things to unpack here. We have the Beware advantage itself and the decision that the group chose to do after it. So let's make sure we separate those in our analysis, because I feel like there's going to be some hot takes on both of these things. What did we think of the Beware advantage itself? And I'm going to use that for Beware.
Let's just start. We've discussed this when Altus found his Beware advantage, how it was a Beware, but actually no advantage. This one was an advantage with no Beware.
No Beware.
Exactly, no Beware.
Can I hear both of your thoughts on it before I say anything?
Okay.
We do have to remember that we've only seen 41 at this point. We've probably only seen the Beware advantage at that's probably like a very new, not full understanding of what that could be or what that could involve. I think it's fun as an advantage, but it's also like I'm still gonna get to 7, but that's still a whiles away. Also, at 7, that puts a huge target on my back. So,
I've ranged from it being utterly pointless to somewhat pointless.
It's a nothing burger.
it's just fun. It's not anything like substantial. It's just a fun little thing to try to push further through.
I think that it needed to be, if all 4 of you were there, all 4 of you got the maximum piece position, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if 3 of you were there, then you all got the maximum piece. It should have, I guess that incentivizes you to vote them out. I don't know. Is that what they want? What does this incentivize everyone to do?
I think they're drawing on the amulet advantage, where it's something working together, and they want to incentivize people. I think they're incentivizing them to stick together. For me, though, if I'm this player, if I'm one of these people, and one of the people I'm Hayley, and I want nothing to do with Jess, for example, this advantage is not going to be a reason for me to keep her around, because yes, I get a better advantage at the Final 7 challenge, but so does Jess.
Yeah.
So you are essentially, it's basically giving you've got an advantage at the Final 7 challenge, and you know that 3 other people will as well. Yes, it's a better advantage the more people that are around, but to me, it wouldn't incentivize me to vote that person out. It wouldn't incentivize me to keep them. It's just kind of a thing that exists.
I think maybe it's probably too complex, but one thing I was thinking about is if at Final 7, the 4 of you are there, you will get the advantage. If at Final 7, there's only 3 of you there, well, now the 3 of you are getting advantage at Final 6. And not multiple advantages. I mean, the advantage moves forward 1 iteration for as many people. So if it gets down to just you, then you have the advantage at 7, 6, at Final 4.
Okay. But you've still got to get to that point, because you might find yourself voted out.
Well,
I think the other part of it that I don't like is that, with an amulet advantage, it turns itself into an idol that you can use at any point. This being at a specific tribal council just really doesn't help with anything, because as Dani said, you've got to get there. And then at TK, I like your idea of it moving, but then it's just you might need, if you're voting people out to try and get it to be an advantage of Final Four, well, if the writing's on the wall for you at Final Five, and that's when you need the advantage, and then you can't have it till later, like.
Well, then no, that's fine. Then you just strategically apply it that way. You just don't. Okay, I don't need to vote out Jules today because I'm happy for me and Jules to just have the advantage.
You never need to vote out Jules.
But you get what I mean. Anyway, I think we've talked about it longer than it needs. I think it's not that relevant, and I don't think it will play a factor. But the lie was even worse.
The decision about what the lie they made up. I was yelling at my screen. I'm like, you guys are merging like now. Why are you? This is the worst lie. And everyone clocked it immediately.
Yeah.
Well, the worst part about the lie is it's nonsensical for him to go back to that tribe under any sort of agreement.
Like, I could understand if the three of them there got to decide and it was a majority rule situation. I can understand Kate choosing to send him there to protect Tara. I can understand Jess I can understand them making that up. Like, if that was true, it would be believable that he could end up at Orange. But it's just, you're about to merge. Like, they literally said, oh, yeah, Jacob's going to be on our tribe now. Oh, and we're going to the merge feast. Like,
yeah, they're going back to tell them it's feast time. Like, they're given that information to give to their tribes as well. So it's like,
they don't know that, but it's sort of to be assumed. It was just a weird way.
Jess said, "Oh, we're also going to invite you to the merge feast."
Going to tell you we're going to feast.
Yeah, okay. Well, then that's.
They were told that they had to tell their tribe that they were going to the feast.
So they've made a very bad lie.
Yeah, advantage at the vote is more powerful than advantages at the challenge.
Yes.
Yeah, unless you're in that do or die shit, I need to win or I'm going home. A challenge advantage, whatever.
So they've made a bad lie to cover a fairly a fairly not powerful advantage. And now, people are going to have lost some trust. Like, Haley was concerned about this very thing, that she's not supposed to lie to her alliance. She's supposed to lie to her alliance about this because that's what and then she did do that. And I think she instantly regretted it. And it may be that she can fess up the truth, but it's sort of like what Coach said about the Kate situation where she lied about having her vote or giving off the parchment. The trust level just dropped a bit because you've lied 25%. To my face now. Even though it was about something that didn't really matter, you've lied to my face. And now I can't trust you the same way I trusted. Mm-hmm. Mark says they can say what they want. They thought they're playing with Detective Tara or me. Tara's known as a bit of a detective, actually, in the online community.
These two together, they're just like hawks and eagles now. They're like,
I really want them to come together. I think it'd be very interesting.
They're nodding in sync. They're like clocking everything around them. I was like, oh, it's a dangerous duo here.
Mm-hmm.
Look, they've got the paperwork, so they'll be able to back it up. We'll talk a bit more about paperwork later on. But they've got the paperwork, and so when they do fess up to what their lie was, people are not going to be that as bothered about it. Because if you just told people this was your advantage, no one's buying that. Oh, I sort of get like an extra pieces quickly at the final 7 challenge, and it's less pieces if the rest of them are not there. That sounds made up.
It does. If so, that would be. I would be like,
what?
What do you mean? You have to get to final 7 to have that advantage. What are you talking about? That
it's a legacy. Like a lie. It's a legacy advantage, but not an idol. It's a legacy challenge advantage.
And if it's just you, then you only get 4 pieces extra. But if it was 2, like you can just see like,
in my head, I'd be like, no, it's the other way around, you idiot. You don't even know your own advantage works.
No, this is nonsense. So I think they need to fess up, and they need to fess up with the paperwork fast. That's my view of it.
Yeah. But yeah, all right. So that's where we are with that.
I also think Jacob deserved. Look, Backyard's ranged in what it likes to give its returnee from redemption to help them succeed in a bad situation, but I feel like Jacob deserved more than this.
Yeah, Jacob got the shit end of the stick here.
He really, really did.
But yeah. Look, we get a little bit of stuff at the tribes before we get to the merge. I think the only tribe I really want to discuss at all is the Green tribe, because we get Haley saying that Jacob and Altus voted out, and Mark and Megan are not subtle about the fact that they are gutted. And Takan's just sitting there like, I'm here too, guys.
You wanted my chop liver? Yeah.
That's
He's not
exactly
here.
what he is in that tribe.
He's not
he was
included in the
already
numbers.
feeling
Nah.
already feeling on the outs, and then they had kind of started suckering him in, and then they were like, like the three of us are screwed now, and he's like, four.
Hi.
I'm still here.
To be fair, that statement's true because this vote out in no way negatively impacts Takan.
No,
So-
completely true. Yeah,
But he's not screwed. The rest of them are. But their general language
If
is very
anything,
much
it
like,
helps him because they're
Yes.
going to need him now.
and the Pinks want him, so he's wanted by all.
Yeah. But other than that, there's not really much. Pink are just like, oh, cool, Tara made it through. Orange, oh, Jacob's back, and now we're going to the merge, yeah. But yeah, at the merge feast, one of the first things we hear Tara's like, so you got to choose your tribe. Was that pointless? Yes, it was, because it was a lie.
A bad lie.
A bad lie.
You know, you could tell Hayley was not comfortable about this when it was happening. When they were making up
she
the
didn't
lie.
feel comfortable lying to her peeps.
She shouldn't have.
really didn't.
Yeah,
Who
I would
cares?
have told.
Once you find out what it is, just tell them
Her
the truth.
number one ally is in on it, so it's like, eh.
Yeah, but talk to Jacob. Who else? Who should she? What relationship does Zoe? Does Hayley need to be protecting then? Megan.
Well, that's the thing. As we saw on the next day when everyone's talking about their final three and the little mind map, I loved this, by the way.
So
You see
good.
that Jacob and Hayley have a very different idea of who they want their third to be.
Yes.
Yeah, this was a fantastic little thing to then reveal it was a final
God.
two.
Like all of the advantages and then the mind map of who's with who. Oh my God, I loved it. And it was color coded, which just well done. And then Zoe's like, it's all a month, and then it all just like goes in.
Yeah. Do you think when they listed the number of advantages that maybe Kyle and Brian thought perhaps we had too many advantages, considering there could have been another 3 idols in play?
A lot of
Anyone
them are
knew
extra
North and
votes.
South?
So
I know, but there could have been idols in play here. If
Three
people
idols.
knew what direction to go in,
Yeah.
there would be 3 idols in play here.
Can anyone, if Kyle, you're in the chat, can you tell us, were those idols pre-merge idols or were they fully fledged idols? Because if they're all pre-merge idols, then
It's
I
too
think
many
they're fully
pre-merge.
fledged because if you see next time on, they're all searching.
they're all
Oh,
searching,
yes.
but they don't know what they're looking for.
Yeah, but some of them have the clue.
No, as in, but they don't know. They could find an idol and be like, oh, this is only good for day one. All right, see you
I
later.
can't imagine that would be the case.
I think
would say
only-
they're fully fledged.
I only think Mark's original idol was expiring at end of day 1. I'm not saying they're fully fledged. I'm not saying they're final 5 idols, but they might be final 7, something like
It's
that.
alright,
I don't
so
think
we
it's
could
end of
have
day 1.
We could have had Takan play an idol. We could have had someone else be immune. We could have had a safety without power. We could have had 3 other idols. Jesus.
Josh O'Brien also does not like the F7
Yeah.
advantage.
Yeah, see? Exactly.
Look, Kyle and Brian do amazing work, but this was not one of their finer efforts. Sorry,
Look,
guys.
They have trialed a few new advantages in the past. Some we've loved. I think one of my favorite things that we saw them do was the rock advantage. I loved that. This one was a miss.
The Rock Idol was the biggest nothing burger that somehow ended up.
It paid off.
Yeah, an incredible outcome. Can you imagine you got a season with a Rock Idol and a Super Idol, and then someone loses the Super Idol and they put another Super Idol in, and it still never happens, but that Rock Idol actually like
The rock one is the one that.
What are the odds of that?
Yeah. But anyway, so we get that little bit of it. Everyone's had that, and everyone has obviously been told who's in your final 3. And then we get to the challenge, and Kyle and Brian pull a little prank about we didn't say merge, but lol, yeah, you merged. And then says, oh, by the way, it's a final 2.
First time in backyard.
Have we discussed final 2 versus final 3 before?
No,
your
I
thoughts
don't think we have. I've had it in group chats, but we haven't.
I prefer final 2.
I prefer final 3.
There's always dead weight in the final 3.
I don't like with the final 2 that the final immunity challenge just has so much weight to it. Like if you're in a final 3, if you don't win that final immunity challenge, there's still something you can do. The person who wins immunity doesn't automatically have the most power.
The final 3 challenge needs to be pure endurance and no skill. It has to be how much do you want. To me, that's what it needs to be, and then your final 2 because it's fair. No skill, no no advantages.
Christy
or
Bennett
whatever.
standing on the hands on the heart idle for
Yeah.
100,000
I was
hours.
just about to say that's what it needs to be. It needs to be a
Yeah.
Christy Bennett sort of a situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, Mel.
Nelson's
As I
final
said,
two is always best so votes don't get watered down.
I think the same thing. No dead weight. You just said it nice. Though Mark loves you on this, Jules. So I don't mind. I think it's better from a storytelling perspective. I think it's better to follow. I think the Tribal Council is more interesting, and I think that you get a more dynamic vote with people choosing on a binary one or the other decision. I think particularly in a small game, we've got less time to make up your mind to get the information. That's an easier decision and gets a more valid outcome of a winner. You just don't see it that much in LRGs because it's another round you need to put in from a time perspective, which can be difficult.
And I like that they've told them about it from the jump because that affects things. Like if you think of Micronesia, if they knew it was a final two early on, Sari does not go out third place. Sari has done something else to get herself to final two. So
wasn't that changed during the game?
That was changed because of all the medevacs.
Because of all the medevacs. That wasn't what that was. That was.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. I like that here's you're at the merge now. By the way, it's a final two. But anyway, so we get to this reward/immunity challenge. Had a ring toss. When you finish, you get to choose what you want, including the immunity necklace. So Khan wins first and goes straight for that necklace. Is that the right call, the wrong call? What do you think?
100% the right call.
Right call? Yeah.
Because then he's also not in any pressure to play his legacy.
I think he still should have played it. Because enough people know about it, get rid of it. But anyway.
I think he has the out here. He's like, well, we don't need to, so now I can use it for us further down the line.
Yeah, that's true.
No one's going to call you sneaky for grabbing the necklace. Not like
exactly. No, and I think it's more sus if you don't
want to be safe straight away.
Because what are you up to if you don't need that right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Jacob gets his food. Zoe takes the secret advantage. That's another pretty shit advantage, but anyway.
What do you think about Jacob not taking the advantage, taking the food?
I think a few people said you probably don't want to be seen to be taking an advantage. Like a secret advantage is great if it's actually a secret, but when it's in front of other people, it's not great.
I'm not so sure on this season because there's so many advantages. Like when there's so many, having them like, oh, well, what do you got? Well, I've got this. When they're exchanging, what do you got? I got this, I got this, I've got this, I got this. Everyone's so much shit that it loses the pressure of the focus. Oh, we've got to get rid of blah blah because blah blah got that advantage. It's like, what about blah blah's 50 advantages? What about Mark has? It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, well, and Zoe's one was fairly useless anyway. Mark said that his read was that people didn't actually see the bounty. It looked like a napkin, but I had that earlier. Well, we saw that Hayley had spotted it, and it was in her head, I'm going to go for it. But then she saw a coffee and went, no, I'll have that instead. Which I can relate to that.
Have we talked
early on it when I'm tired and I've been up all night? I would have probably gone for the coffee too.
I haven't been up all night. And we talked about the someone took the food first, even though they were second to the table.
Jacob took the food first.
Jacob.
Yeah, you can't do that. Someone raced to the table. It's first to finish the throwing.
Yeah, Zoe got there first, and she's sort of umming and ahhing, and Jacob's like, "Oh, I'll take that." Like,
I think
he should have had to
that.
wait. He should have had to wait.
Yeah.
He should have had to wait. Yes.
Yeah. Don't like it. What if she wanted that bacon and egg sandwich instead of the crappy advantage?
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. That sandwich. That's what I've been going for.
Yeah, I would have fucking frothed for a bacon egg sandwich. Absolutely.
Yeah. Did it come with I would have gone for anything with a coffee.
Nah, it's not going to be a good coffee. It's not barista made.
It's not going to be.
Oh, that's true. I am a Melbourne snob.
It's going to be an instant coffee they've made in the morning, and I fucking want that. Give me a bacon egg sandwich.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point. But yeah, so other than that, everyone's sort of there's mainly food there, but yeah, we get a little bit of conversation once people have finished. Mark has got his two little alliances. He's got his Boondogs. And he's got, Jacob shared it with Zoe anyway. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that she was eating. That was very nice of you.
Yeah, I saw you. Something sharing. What is this? Production. Get on this.
It's not the auction.
Yeah.
You can do what you want with your own reward.
Don't like it. Don't like it. No sharing.
But yeah, so
someone could have a peanut allergy. No sharing.
Well, they're adults. They know they've got a peanut allergy. They know not to take it. Idiot. Yeah, Mark's got his two. He's got his Boondogs, and then he's got his little XR or the Summit 3, and they're all the top 5 people to finish. And he's like, "Hey, you guys are my people." And Haley's like, "I don't think so. I'm your people. Fuck these bitches."
Yeah,
even though she does want to work with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably not the best move from Mark, trying to like smoosh all his like grand plans together in front of Haley. Different sorts of games. Here we go. Kyle's giving something information.
Kyle, that's too long.
The group it's because we've been we did crap on this a bit. The group Beware was not about the advantage, but kicking off the merge with cross-tribal alliances by bringing one from tribe, returning, giving them a secret to bond. Hilarious. Look, it's just a pointless advantage. But I understand the intent. I just think the advantage should have been better. I would have liked a 4-person item or something. You know, one of those things. Plus, hilarious to see them all stumble over their lies immediately.
Yeah, that's funny.
That was fun. It was good TV.
Yeah. But yeah, look, what I'm getting from Haley is just more and more queen energy that I knew she had when I made her my winner pick, and she's just like, if it's either Haley's way or the highway. So,
she's got some cracker one-liners this episode. Like she calls people Muppets earlier.
I love when she's like, I'm a Kiwi, I'm chill.
Yeah, I got to risk it for the biscuit. She's got all the one-liners this episode. She's out there. Love
she's the opposite.
I love her so much.
Yeah, she's not chill. Haley has no chill. She has no.
I think it's when everyone was running around like headless chooks. She's just like, whatever, man.
She'll do the strategy. It's not how she rolls.
Yeah.
They can come to me, and I'll tell you who we're voting for.
Yeah. And then we get back from the challenge, and it is Scramble City. It is insane. It's one of those things. There was so much happening, and I don't have that many notes because I just couldn't follow everything. I couldn't follow all the conversations.
Well, basically, they developed 3 names over time.
Yes.
Coach is thrown up as a target by Mark because Mark, once again, has an bounty advantage. It's deja vu for Mark. And he's like, that's probably the name I can get most of the support on. What was the killer here? And was always fatal for Pink, which is why the Pinks all jumped on the David bandwagon in the end. Is Zoe and Jess just had – this was really interesting. They had zero interest in working with the Pinks. The relationships that they had formed in the summits at Onewell at the start of the game, other than Tara, which they seemed quite happy to piss off anyway, were not with those Pink people.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually really surprised the lack of interest they had in Tara's view, given they booted Jacob over her. Because they seem to have no interest in what Tara wanted to do.
No.
That's what surprised me.
Yeah, and we see a lot of conversations about those orange guys. They are tight. Like Takan is saying that I was with them. They are solid. And no one's really listening to him about that. The thing is, if Pink wanted to make a move against the oranges, they had the tools to do it. Sorry?
You think so?
Well, they had a legacy advantage that could have been played there. They had an extra vote. I think, I know Zoe's not with them, but I think that they can convince her to use that safety without power in a way that does benefit them.
Well, actually, it's as simple as you say. They just used to say the legacy on Coach and boot whoever they want, really.
I can understand if Takan doesn't want to use that, but yeah,
Well, it's surprising me because Coach, when he talks about his final 3, it's DC and Coach in Takan here. They're the 2 guys he wants to keep around. So the fact that didn't click as a person.
The point I'd make about this for Takan, right? If he has now, if that's the choice, he really can make or break the thing. Because all he needs to do is play that on Coach, and they do what they want. So here's the choice: does he save his legacy advantage for later, and maybe it can help him get through that vote? It might be a problem moving forward. It might not. Or does he make the biggest play of the game at the merge?
Take off the necklace. So you're saying?
Does the legacy have to be on him?
No, you can play the legacy on someone else.
Yeah,
okay. Or as you say, Dani, do it even bigger. Put the necklace on him. But you'll be better off because all the votes are going on Coach. So it's better to let Coach get the votes, play the legacy on Coach, and save him and boot someone big. We're not booting Mark because of his genius thing, but Haley or Jacob or someone, right? And it would be a really dumb move for Takan to do that right now because he's just going to become target number one. Be like, oh my God, what a move. We've got to get rid of him. He's so good. Like,
no, for sure. Absolutely.
But they had there's a tribe of 11 people. They have 5 of them and an extra vote. Now, something I want clarification of, does the extra vote have to publicly be, hey, I'm playing my extra vote, or you just go in the voting booth and you just secretly little play it?
No, you just no extra vote needs to be publicly declared. When has that ever?
Well, the first time we ever saw one in season 30, it got it.
Season 30? This is we got to wear advantage.
I'm just saying, sometimes they do that. I'm assuming it's you play it secretly in the voting booth.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
at the very least, she could have tied the votes up.
She's going to rocks for David?
More to the point, are other people going to go to rocks for anyone else?
Who got the vote from Coach?
Megan.
Megan, but I think that was just a throwaway vote. I don't think he knew where to vote. I think if they had, and like DC has put there, they didn't come together during that scramble, which is, and DC says they were dead to Tara anyway. So they're not this tight group, which is, I think if they were a really solid group, I think they could have pulled it off. But if they're not that tight together, then I'll withdraw my comment.
And the thing is, when things start going in a way, just a little bit in a way that Mark likes, because Mark's going to get an idol out of it, and we're voting out someone he cares not for at all, and bringing Tara closer to himself, he will push that so hard. And it's just the same as the Tommy circumstance. 11 people is a lot of people. There is not a lot. People get scared. Anything could happen. You know, this is a big numbers. I don't know what's going on. It just seems like everyone's piling on to Coach. There's good reasons for it. He says he's never going to flip on Pink, completely inflexible, can't play with him moving forward because he will never flip on them. So what's the point of keeping him around? It's the most sensible pile-on vote they can all make. And Mark's driving it hard because he's going to get an idol out.
Yeah. I did like Haley and Jacob being like, let's flip it onto Tara and leave Mark out of it, which I was like, oh, yes, I don't want Tara to go, but do something and leave Mark out of it. That's what you need to do. Don't let him get that fucking idol.
I'm like, but does this pile-on Coach happen without the fake super idol play? Do we think that was the way that was Tribal was going to go without Mark going? I don't think it goes that way. I think it becomes much more of a hodgepodge vote.
I don't think there's a vote on Mark happening for real. But
I don't think it goes on Mark, but I don't think it's piling on Coach.
I don't know. He didn't reveal I don't think he revealed the super idol information until Tribal Council, which is actually what makes this such a good play. I'm going to talk about
that's what I mean. Like,
I'm ready to debate with you on this.
Whatever other plan we had to go, we can't do because it's going to hurt him for whatever. And because he said he can play it after the vote, which then meant if the target was Tara and he wants to keep Tara, he can play it after, right? So it doesn't matter what they would do. If it was against Mark, they couldn't do it.
I don't think anyone was thinking at that level, to be honest. I get what you're saying, but I don't think anyone was thinking at that level.
There didn't seem to be a lot of like, oh shit. There wasn't a lot of whispering after he revealed that, so I don't know that it changed much.
I get what you're saying.
Might have changed a couple of votes.
But let me just tell you why this was such a good play. I think there's one thing.
And I will argue with you because it was a terrible play.
One thing that he slightly did incorrectly. Mark is worried that he has told too many people about his new bounty advantage. They all know he's locked in on David. He's going to get another idol. He's worried about this vote. Now, he's also given himself a bit of leverage for the next vote, which I don't like. So let's go back to this first vote. And he's worried that they might try and take him out. Look, he's got a lot of ORCA energy, and ORCA's playing big feel the heat on them, whether it's on them or not. They just feel everyone's looking at them anyway, right? So he's worried about the vote here. So he's told them, he says here, there was a misplay and now he's trying to correct it. Doing it at Tribal Council is so smart. Because if you're telling me you've got a fucking super idol, I want to see the paperwork, right? Now, at Tribal Council, you can't demand the paperwork. And I loved the story whereby if the 3 people who had the original bounties were still in the game, At that point, then it became a super. I love this.
I'll agree with you on that. I liked the fact that there was the bounty hunters, and if all three of them are here, it becomes something different. I liked that element, so I'll pay that.
And I'll add to it, it explains why he's been so keen on working with Tara, which people have been suspicious on. It gives some reasoning to that behavior. And in addition, he has the benefit of in this season. In a different season, without fucking a bazillion advantages, I don't know if I would believe this. But in this season, anything goes. It's absurd, right? Why not? Why is this not believable? Like, this is the same sort of convoluted shit they've been doing the entire season. So the only reason I would not believe this is if I come out of that tribal council, I'd say, Mark, can I see this paperwork for this super idol? And he's like, nah. When there's one vote left, it's bullshit. That's when I know it's bullshit. So I don't see the value in the two tribals. I would have just gone for the first tribal, save yourself, get your own new idol from your new bounty hunter, and use that to leverage moving forward.
Mm-hmm. And look, on this show, we have a history of assigning strategy to people when it wasn't there. I'm telling you right now, from Jess's reaction, she was not believing a word he was said, especially with the, oh, thanks for telling us about that. To me, that dripped with bullshit. I don't believe you. And I think a lot of people didn't believe him. And I think next week we're going to see people be like, we can't trust a word he says. He's full of
Mark's
shit.
reasoning, I should know in the idol. So as far as knowing, it did look like a pretty great idol. Right?
Yeah.
It looked good. So
I don't care how it looks.
The bounty hunters thing that Josh it's a good idea. It's a great idea. And for everyone that just got that ridiculous Final 7 advantage, I'd believe this. Like, this is nonsense going on. You know what I mean? Mark said he'd torn off the expiry date in preparation for examination. Yeah, but where does it say super idol? That's my question mark. And then Josh said he was watching from the sidelines in awe and was kind of mad. I was like, my bestie just stole my spot on All Stars. What a move.
You're not the same archetype. It's fine.
Look, I just want to say that the thing that I really want to credit about this is it's so well thought out, other than that one slight misplay.
And also the prop people are sad you don't care, Jules. I just mean as a player, I don't need to know what the advantage looks like. I want to see the paperwork.
Yeah.
I want receipts.
But that's the value of breaking this out in Tribal Council. It's so smart. And look, I just want to say, I played in these games and I had a sort of fake idol when I was pretty much dead in the water. And
You have like 8 fake idols.
I'm like, how can I use these things to my advantage in this circumstance? And I wasn't in Mark's situation because I was going. So it's very hard to know what to do with a fake idol when you're going because like they're just going to split on you anyway then. But in this short period of time to come up with such a good, convincing story and to bring it out at exactly the right point, the Tribal Council, is just a masterclass move with very little time to think about it. I think this is incredible. I still think he made a mistake by overplaying for the 2 Tribal Councils, but that is the only mistake made here. It was a perfect move otherwise.
I think one thing there's a lot of credit where credit's due, a lot of good about this. The bounty hunters thing, that was very clever. And I think also he needed to get the information out there that his idol was expired. Because if he's now got this bounty advantage, he's a guy walking around with 2 idols, that's dangerous. So people are going to come for him. So he did need to get it out there that it had expired. And then he just wanted to get a little bit of mayo on it and be like, yeah, guys, it's now a super idol. Yeah, I think he comes across as, but people are going to ask to see the paperwork. He's going to come across as untrustworthy. He's going to come across as cocky. He's going to come across as everything that we're seeing in confessional is just, it's going to be radiating from in there. And I think he's going to lose allies rather than gain them from this move.
The point I'm just making is that if he hadn't done the 2 Tribal Council thing, the paperwork becomes irrelevant. And so I think you can move past it reasonably quickly without focusing on it. But I agree, people are going to be interested in the paperwork now, which is going to expose the lie. Mm-hmm. That's why I feel like he just went that bit too far that he didn't need to.
Yeah.
And then depending on how she plays it, Tara's in real danger coming up because they know that he's got an idol now, right? Because everyone knows that this second bounty idol. We knew that he was targeting Coach, and they've seen the two of them. And I think depending on how Tara plays moving forward, she's in real danger of being that secondary vote because they know who's going to play the idol.
Yeah, agreed.
What are they going to? What's he going to play?
Because Mark now has the bounty
he's got a super idol.
Yeah.
So let's take out his right-hand woman in Tara.
Well, I think they call bullshit on the super.
And why wouldn't he use the super idol?
If they're going to target Mark, they're going to target Tara because they can't get Mark even if he has the bounty idol.
That's right. Because Mark would then use the super idol on himself. But why wouldn't he use the super idol then on Tara?
What's I'm saying? They're calling bullshit on the super idol. I think they call bullshit here, but they know he still has the bounty that he's just gotten from getting from getting Coach out.
Yeah.
Look, we've got a lot of people on here who seem to struggle with the concept of how advantages work, especially people that have been concerned about shots in the dark that can be played when people don't have votes. Generally, you would think though a super idol can only be played by the person holding it. That's how it worked on season 12 and 13. The person he couldn't stand up after and say, "I am playing this." You had to be in possession of it.
That's not a real. You can't count those because those weren't actually super idols because they were before there were actual current day idols. What could Tony do on Cagayan?
He'd never played a super idol,
so we don't know what he could have done with it.
We don't know.
And I think Mel could have played it in Canberra. Not that that's going to be, binding precedent. I think she could have played it on other people. Well, according to Mel,
no, you play super idol on anyone. That is ridiculous.
And possessed a super idol, of course.
Yeah, Mel would know.
So anyway, I think it's a magnificent move. Chef's kiss.
Boss, Orca Energy. Do we need to even? Can we just end the coverage with him as the Orca? Because I don't
see anyone overtaking him. Haley could give him a run for his money.
Are you giving him the Brommy this week, or are you saying you're just giving him the award for the end of the season?
He's got the Brommy for this week locked in. Orca of the I think Haley could potentially come over the top, but at the moment he's running away with it.
If he wins the game, he can't.
Every episode. She's got Orca Energy, but she doesn't have the forcing strat at this point.
I don't think she's going to get it. If Mark wins the season, it's going to hurt his Orca potential. That'd be about it.
Why was winning the season hurt his Orca potential?
Because the criteria is you can't be those things and win. Surely. We need to go over the criteria for the Orca again because my argument for why Loz didn't deserve it was because she was too good. So you're saying now that if you win, you can't get it? What is this? I don't know if I would have voted
for Loz. I don't even know my own show.
I don't know if I would have voted for Loz if she won the season. Just to be clear.
Well, that was the reason I didn't because I was like, no, she was too good. She was the MVP. Can't be MVP and the Orca.
Do you want to do anything more with the tribal before I throw on the David interview?
I want to see Coach's interview.
And then stick around for Coach's interview, and then we're going to get into everyone's favorite season, everyone's favorite segment, TWIOLSH, in a moment. But stick around. We got David, and we'll be back shortly after that interview.
Good to have you here. You are such a positive and genuine force on Backyard Survival 1 well. Though you didn't seem to want to play the game in a strategic way, and ultimately that seemed to be why you were voted out, that you were just generally seen as someone who's going to stay pink loyal and not be willing to jump into sneaky moves. Was it always your strategy to go in and play the game in that manner?
Yes, it was actually. I'm still wearing the same pink singlet actually. No, it was, and I actually really believe we could have got to the end if we stayed strong. I think the only factor why we didn't get to the end was we just didn't have enough time together, especially when the merge happened. I think, and then when Haley came and Jacob came and asked me, if I was willing to flip or something, and I was like, no and never. I wish my own teammates could have saw that. And they would have understood, how much that kind of meant. Ultimately I would have gone to the end playing loyal. Yeah.
I know you haven't watched the episode, but the pink people were very much keen to stay pink strong. They wanted to vote out somebody else from the other areas. And that was very much Tara's plan and DC's plan and even Takan's plan, and Kate, and you had actually galvanized them into wanting to be a strong pink group. The problem is Jess and Zoe didn't want to go with that, so the numbers were never there for Pink to survive, because Pink was seen, I think, as too strong of a group. So Jess and Zoe were like, well, we're going to go with Old Oren. So ultimately, the way you galvanized them was your downfall, because they saw you as a linchpin of keeping those Pinks together.
Ah, damn. Yeah, I'll have to spend time watching it, but yeah, no, it was interesting. You know what? Looking back at it now as well, I would have loved to play with Haley especially, just because I felt like just her vibe of like that kind of, and Jacob, the two of them, you know, like it could really form like a different sort of dynamic team, because they're like, yeah, Haley was just really strong actually.
I think I agree with you. From what I've seen of Haley on the screen, I think she's the sort of person that would have really enjoyed a partnership or a alliance with someone who'd express the sort of loyalty that you do. I think she would have been very strong on that. Let's just go back to the first episode, and you're finding the puzzle pieces, and you see that Takan has found an advantage, and he then tells you about the advantage. And then you feel the need to tell a number of other people about his advantage. What was the thinking about sharing Takan's information?
Can you remind me again who was I sharing it with?
You're taking me back to the first episode now, which was like 5 weeks ago.
Yeah,
I can't recall, but there were people you were just doing. It wasn't your pink guys. It was during the first tribal council area when you were all on blue.
Transparency. I thought being transparent was the way to go.
Yeah.
I thought if you hide something and then you get caught hiding something, then it's harder to win the trust. So it's like, if I just tell certain people, hey, look, thingy has it, I thought, then if I knew I didn't tell someone and then they found out, oh, you knew all along, you didn't tell me, then I really lost that kind of that trust.
Yeah.
So I rather transparency out there, then everyone goes, oh well, he knew it and he told us. So yeah, that was kind of like my thought going in, I think, overall.
There's also a point where I'm not sure if it's actually on the show or Tara just said it in the comments one episode, but you talked about that you would volunteer and go to redemption if Pink lost.
Yeah.
Was that genuine as well? I imagine 100%, it was.
100%. Yeah. Because I believed. See, this is what I meant. I believe it was such a strong team, right? That if we were involved, I'm happy for them to vote me out. Because as confident, there's not arrogance, but I really believe that I would come back.
Yeah.
I would win any challenge there, and I would be able to come back. And in that way, we can still have a strong kind of fight.
Yes. You'll go down in history of Australian LRGs as the first person to play a shot in the dark. Now, I must say, production should have told you that you needed to stand up at that point when they said, Coach, yes, this is your time. You now stand up. Because, of course, you just told me off air that you'd only ever watched 2 seasons of Survivor. One of those was Borneo. So you hardly have seen the shot in the dark before. So
I have never seen any advantages ever.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the first thing I ever watched was American season 1.
Yeah.
First episode, right? And then one was the Australian one, which is quite old. So I was waiting, and then I was like, oh, what do I do with this shot in the dark? Do I play it next time? And I didn't know you had to stand up and say you were playing it, or
it's on production. It's on production, but it must have been blowing your mind for your own experience being those seasons. And then this season is incredibly advantage heavy. There are advantages everywhere, and you must have been like, what is going on?
Yeah, and so I wasn't prepared. That was the thing. I wasn't prepared with all these advantages. I just didn't understand them. I didn't understand them, and that was probably my problem. I was too, I'm a Nintendo Game Boy compared to these guys at PlayStation 4. I was well out of my league playing with some of these guys. Well out of my league. So yeah.
You say you'd only watched this very small amount of Survivor. How did you find out about Backyard? What made you apply to Backyard then?
So I was on the same. Was I? I was a supporting actor for on a short film, and Carl was Carl was doing the sound and everything.
Yeah.
And it was Carl then kind of say, hey, I think this is how it worked. He said, oh, maybe you should audition for a Backyard Survivor, and so I said, yeah, why not? So it actually was through being just a supporting guy on a short film that I was asked to go and do an audition. So yeah, so I like I said, I didn't know. I actually didn't know like how it worked, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And that was my first ever experience like on like that sort of like show. It was amazing actually.
You were, as I said, an amazing character, and obviously very genuine in how you wanted to play. It was a different style to usual, but very entertaining and very wholesome to watch. And you're saying you're out of your league and what have you, and maybe that's the case with some of the strategy because you haven't watched the amount of Survivor these other people have watched. But what these shows always need is people that are genuine people who aren't so game focused. Because if you have 16 people that are just game bots, as people will say, that are just trying to optimize strategy, it's not really the most entertaining show because it's a show about strategy, but it's a show about people. And it's good to have a variety of people on any season so that you can see these human beings interacting in different ways with different approaches and different mindsets. That's actually one of the most interesting parts about Survivor, and it always has been. So it's great with these LRGs like Backyard. It's very difficult to get people on it that basically know nothing, because why would they apply for something like this if they know nothing about Survivor?
But what Carl must have asked me, because he knew I knew nothing.
But it provides such an interesting dynamic, man. And you made the merge, you made the jury. So many people go on these things that are super fans and never get there, and they're so disappointed. So you should be so proud of what you achieved and what you were able to build. You were at votes. You voted for people. You could have been voted out. You weren't. You obviously built relationships enough to remain strong in the game. And as I say, ultimately you're voted out because you were seen as being, the person you were. Loyal to the bone, sticking true with Pink, not going to flip. Zoe and Jess were like, well, we're not going to go with the Pink guys. Too dangerous. Too locked in.
Oh, damn. Can I throw in a little... you can edit this however you want, but I don't know how we're... I'd rather not edit it. If it's after you get voted out, I don't want to hear it. Oh no, it's before.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm just trying to remember the sequence. The Altus, when Altus was voted out.
Ah, yes.
Oh, so I knew Altus because he was one of the cast in the short film I was in.
Okay, so you knew him for real life, yeah.
So I was like, I was torn in that because we had to change the orange and there was like a swap or something.
Yes.
And I really liked Altus. Like I thought he was such a good guy, and I was so torn in that part because I didn't really want to vote him out, but I stood strong, right, and I voted for him out. But what shocked me was Kate. She said she had gone to the well and gave away the a false or whatever it was, and she never did. And so when I found out she didn't, I was like, wow, she actually lied like me and DC. And that when I realized she didn't have to vote, and she said she managed to get rid of that, that's when I started to feel inside I felt a little bit uneasy.
Yeah,
because I was like, wow,
you said that on
like
the show.
he literally just lied straight to us in camp, and I thought we were strong, aren't we? Like, and that kind of made me worried a little bit after that. Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. She said your trust level dropped. We talked about why she did that on the show last week. It makes sense strategically, but she obviously just didn't trust you and DC enough to protect her. Fascinating about you knowing Altus as well, and I appreciate how difficult that would be. Also, Altus seemed like a very genuine player as well, that I think that you probably would have been able to click with really well. But I like that you had your approach, that you're going to stay tribe strong, that you're going to stick together. And I think it's a great arc for you, that's ultimately what you did, and it's ultimately why you got voted out. And I know your tribe mates voted for you, and that may have seemed hard at the time, but from Survivor Strategy 101, there is no point not just piling on. Like, if they can't change the vote, you go with the vote. Like, that's just Survivor 101. Yeah. As hard as it is, it wouldn't have been personal, but they couldn't do anything about it. So you're best not to be seen as the squeaky wheel in that scenario. I wouldn't, maybe you've been thinking that was they didn't have the loyalty to you, but as I say to you, back and watching the episode, they did what they could to try and make the vote someone else, but they couldn't.
Nah, that's good. Yeah, I'll have to watch it when the time's right. And yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, David, and for being on the show. As I say, these LRGs really need people that aren't just super fan game bots, like strategically working their way through the game to provide that diversity of cast and people. So thank you for coming on and showing us your unique style, and for coming on and reflecting the game with us.
Cool. No worries. Thanks, Chris.
That's why I do the interviews, not you, Jules.
What do you mean?
You would not be interested in talking about someone's diversity of style. You guys were so angry about it using that shot in the dark. Was it Dani? You're both angry.
That was me.
I am offended. I don't care about people's adversity. Fuck you.
No, diversity of style. You don't want to see their, like, oh, I want to be loyal to my tribe. And, you don't.
No, there's value in that. I understand it.
Fine, I should have directed at Dani, who wouldn't shut up about him.
I think I agree. We didn't like the shot in the dark play as a way to throw your vote away. That's what we didn't like.
That was what I didn't like. He didn't invest in anything.
I just like to pump them all up. They will bring something to the show, no matter who they are.
I'll do the next interview, all right? And I'll be better than you.
Brilliant casting.
You'll be better than me.
I'll be better than you.
You've got to be very flexible with the scheduling. That's not really where you're at.
Sorry?
You've got to be really flexible with the scheduling to interview these things.
Yeah, that makes it difficult for me.
I had to do 3 interviews today, and it's impacted my ability to perform in everyone's favorite segment, TWIOLSH. Instead of researching like a
user ready already.
Excuses. The excuses.
3 interviews. Oh my
You're
God.
gonna lose this one.
I could. I feel underprepared, and that's not like how I like to feel. But we'll remove Dani, and she can't do the comments, unfortunately. But we'll bring you back in a moment. I will be removing the comments shortly, but I'll bring in our guest. Everyone knows that from if you looked at the Facebook post that it's Matt Chang from Backyard Season 4. But he's not just from Backyard Season 4. If you've watched a lot of LRG,
played an LRG, you've met Matt C.
If you've watched it, he is like in more episodes than any single person in this community.
His face isn't in most of them.
His face isn't in it, but his chiseled physique is. And I know he likes to wear a baggy shirt, but you can still see the physique under the shirt. He is almost in every single Dream Team video you'll ever see. Though Malcolm is giving him a run for the money now, I feel. But he's been in many. He's crewed more seasons than I think anyone else. If someone else has crewed more than him, I apologize. But I believe he's crewed more. And I tell you, when he crews, like, he gives you his absolute all, never quits, always keeps running. And no job is too small. No job is too big. He's always happy to do whatever you need him to do. The absolute best crew member of the LRG community. Welcome to the show, Matt C.
Oh, thank you. What a welcome. Thank you very much for having me, CK and Jules. And why did Dani have to leave?
We just like to have 3 for the segment.
Okay. All right. All right.
Also, she doesn't care. Let's be real.
Yeah, she doesn't care. Matt's coming on now.
This is a true story. For the first episode, I sent her some questions to like bounce them off her to see how difficult they were. She was like, I don't care. I'm sure they're fine.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain this? Do you want to explain this breadstick thing that Kath was going about in the pre-game comments?
What is the breadstick?
The baguette.
I don't know if there's much left to explain. She basically said, "I dare you to ask him," and then she explained it. The only other thing to add is, so obviously I was bestowed to Kath at one stage, and then a slip of the tongue while I was walking through Melbourne with my girlfriend at the time. I said, I'm just getting some bread or buying something, going to a bakery with my GF or something like that. And so she said, how dare you? And I said, what are you talking about? My gluten-free baguette. So that's why she used the emoji for like the last 4 years. Glad you asked.
No, that was a bad story. Sorry, I don't understand it, but it sounded amusing. But yes, it was a personal story.
I'm sure you had to be there.
Yeah, it had to be. But thank you very much for it anyway.
It's Kath's story to tell.
Okay, next time we have Kath on the show, we'll get the full bread story. Matt, do you need the rules explained to you?
Not really. I think you ask questions, I answer them.
I think Jules
attempt to answer them.
Yes. Look, I'll explain them anyway. Look, you'll get your choice of question. I'll ask you the question. You can choose to answer it straight away, or if you're not sure, you can ask for multiple choice. If you choose to answer it without multiple choice, you will get 2 points, but CK has the opportunity to steal. If you take multiple choice and you get it right, it's only worth 1 point, but CK also cannot steal.
Okay, let's just roll.
Yeah, let's just. If you're not sure, ask for multiple choice. Basically, that's it. You also get to choose what seasons you answer and what seasons CK answers. So the 4 backyard seasons are mandatory. So we'll start with those. Which season of Backyard Survival would you like a question about first?
Well, let's start from the top. We'll go with Backyard 1.
Well, I was very confident you were going to pick 4, so I made that one extra hard, but never mind. Backyard 1, this is the merge episode. So these are all from episode 6, but in case I didn't mention that. So the redemption challenge, we had an eating competition with people being eliminated each round. Rhiannon won her way back into the game. Who did she beat in the final round?
Oh, God. No, I'm going to need the multiple choices, please.
Your options are David, Matt, Rachel, or Tamara.
No idea. So I'm just going to guess. When can CK come in and potentially steal?
Now that you've taken multiple choice, he can't steal.
Ah, okay. Oh, so he just has to say, I'm stealing before I say anything?
No. As in, if you answer without hearing multiple choice and you get it wrong, that's when he has to.
Okay. Gotcha.
The safety net. I'm taking the safety net.
Yeah. I'm just going to do a random guess here. I'm going to go Tamara. Please.
It was That's David. Incorrect. It was your mate, David.
You had to say CK.
You know, if he had won that challenge, he wouldn't have been on season 4. How different the world could have been if he'd won that challenge.
True. CK, for these segments, how much study do you do? Just out of curiosity.
That's a lot.
I have notes for all the seasons that we've covered in the rank down.
Of course, yeah.
I read all my notes. Then sometimes the notes have been a bit insufficient lately, so I watch some episodes just jumping around. Then some seasons I don't have any notes, so I've been sort of checking them. I've been reading Eden's wiki recently, which is a bit of an advantage too. So yeah, a bit of research. I'm on a roll though, and Kyle's beat me so far. So
yeah, I thought I would take today to just listen to all the season episode 6 episodes while I was at work. Couldn't do that, so I just jumped onto the Backyard wikis and had a look at not a lot of information, and that information it's probably not going to help me too much here, but let's go.
We'll see how we go. All right, so which question would you like for CK out of Backyard 2, 3, and 4?
Let's just keep going straight up 2, please.
2.
Yeah.
All right. At Tribal Council, AJ was voted out over Jay. What was the vote count?
Okay, well, Jay gets 2 votes. Do you want me to tell you how many votes AJ gets? So you got to remember who's in this.
Yeah.
Let's see. How many are there? Maybe we're in that season 16, and they cut down. Do they cut down to 10? Yeah. Bring someone back. 11. I think it's an 8-2 vote.
That is correct. 2 points for
Wiki
you.
can tell me that one.
I don't have the wiki open in front of me, just to be very clear. Like,
there's no cheating in what I believe in. All right, do you want 3 or 4?
Surely you want 4.
3.
Sure. You were on 4. It's crazy.
Hey, yeah. Apparently, it's very hard, CK.
Yeah, and I haven't done the study on it because I just assumed you'd take it. So this is not a good outcome.
Are you up to it? So I tuned into last week's episode just to listen to Eden have a go, just to see what it was about. And you seem to be like tracking along with each episode of this season. You said you were up to.
Yeah, I just didn't get around to it this week, and I just assumed that you were going to pick that episode.
Yeah, and I have never seen Backyard 4 before, so I'm watching it along with this.
It's smart strategy, Matt.
Are you watching the full episodes, Jules?
I'm watching the full episodes because I've never seen them before.
Cool. Oh, nice.
I'm enjoying it.
Once this season ends, we'll get back on the rank down, so we'll have to cover it soon.
Because we haven't got to it yet. It's in the top 3.
Yeah. I thought you were up to top 2 now.
No,
the top 3 haven't been covered yet.
Okay.
Nor announced.
All right. So did you want 3 or 4?
Season 3.
You want 3. Okay.
Yep.
So at the purple camp, an idol clue was hidden underneath the water jug. Who found the clue?
CK, you're blinking a lot.
It's my fancy lights. I do blink a lot on this show. It's a bit of a
Well, okay, so if I answer now and get it wrong, and he steals and he can't answer, does the point? Do I get a point?
No, then no one gets a point.
Oh no. Okay. Yeah, I don't think he knows, but I'm gonna go with I don't know either, so I'm gonna go for the multiple choice.
The options are Ben, Hal, Jake, or Samara.
I'm gonna go with Jake.
Oh, he's got it.
No, he doesn't have it.
No, it's
Jake
Hal.
found the idol, but Hal found the clue.
Yes.
Oh God.
Well, we both would have got that wrong. There you go.
All right,
this is gonna be bad.
For you.
Did I lose a point out of that?
No, you didn't lose a point.
Okay, that's fine then. Yeah, that was right.
But I have not done anything for this episode. All right, give it to me.
Yeah, I won't lie. I made this one hard. Okay, so Backyard 4, we had a gross pizza eating challenge. Players had cans of drink in front of them. What was Dan drinking?
That is hard.
I chose Dan because he was booted that episode. Wasn't just a random player.
I felt like I could just give this to Matt to give him a chance, but I don't think he knows it anyway. So let's go with the multiple choice, and I'll just pick something.
All right. Did he have a Carlton Draft, a Coke No Sugar, a Great Northern, or an Orchard Thieves?
Okay, what's an Orchard Thieves?
It's a cider.
Okay. Dan looks very fit to me, and he's not the youngest gentleman, and I know because I'm not a younger gentleman, and it's very hard to stay in shape when you're older. And so I feel that he was having the Coke No Sugar.
That is wrong. He was having a Great Northern. So I picked him. The other reason was pretty much all of the yellow team were having Coke No Sugar, except for him who's on the Great Northern. Everyone else was having the ciders.
Could you have got that, Matt?
No, absolutely not.
You were there.
I had to make it hard.
I wasn't watching what he was drinking.
I was like, how do I make a question out of this? I was going to ask what was on the pizzas, but there was too many things.
I'm glad I didn't bother watching it, Max.
What, rainy day and...
The rainy day, which that looked disgusting. All right, Matt, now you can have your choice of any other season from any other LRG. Obviously not Backyard and not Melbourne one.
Oh, okay. Let's go Canberra then. Season 2.
Canberra 2, okay.
Hmm.
This was the merge vote, which was advantage getting. We saw a total of 7 votes negated by idols this round. Who was the first person to play a hidden immunity idol?
Now, Matt, just to be clear, if you take the multiple choice, you cannot beat me. Because
Who played first? Don't think I could even tell you who played the advantages, to be honest. Okay. Who had anything? So I think the only thing I'm sure of here is that Wolf had immunity. Everyone would have voted him out. Who had anything? Fuck's sake. Let me say, bit of a stab in the dark. Let me say Anna.
And he's got it. It's Anna. That is correct. Everyone in the chat thinks it was Michael. Well, when I say everyone, I mean Mel and Eden. But Michael was third. So obviously Mel played the safety without power first. Then it was Anna. Then it was Nick. Then Michael. And then Sophie last. Those idols. And then Mel was the very last one with her super idol.
Long con, I knew it all along.
Yeah.
Smashed it, Matt. Well done. Okay, so now we will spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel for your final question, CK. Scores are tied. So Mel says, who's Anna?
Yeah, so the answer was Amy, Matt. I apologize. It was Amy. Okay, we'll see what I spin here. I've obviously removed. I've removed Canberra 2. Let's spin this wheel. A little bit of Warrandyte.
Warrandyte, okay. So, the immunity challenge had players on a balance beam with balls on a disc, and it was an individual challenge, and the person who was the longest lasting won the challenge for their team. Who won the challenge for Galata?
I'm confused by this question.
So the challenge it was like an individual challenge, but it was a tribe challenge. And the single person who lasted the longest won immunity for their tribe.
I thought that more people were on left at the end than one. You're saying only one person was left after Liam threw the challenge?
There was one person who was left at the end that lasted longer than everyone else.
On the losing tribe or the winning tribe?
On the winning tribe.
Okay, so I didn't take note of that. So it's not going to be the people on the beams, right? Because the beams, everyone was falling off that left, right, and center. Liam threw the challenge with the balls on his side. The two people on the crates on the other side were Jake and CM, and CM's balance sucks. So let's say it was Jake.
It was CM.
Oh, brutal.
All right, that means we have to go to a tiebreaker. So I'm going to need to make sure there's no cheating for this one, because this is something that will have to be looked up. But
by who? Hang on. Looked up by whom?
I'll have to look it up.
Right.
I'm going to look it up right now.
Okay.
So this is once again going to be a number closest to. CK, this time you can answer first.
Okay.
I think there was a bit of an advantage to going second.
I got it exactly right.
So we are covering Backyard Survivor, Season 5, Episode 6. As of this minute, how many views does that episode have on YouTube?
Oh, fuck's sake.
$250.
Okay. Matt?
Well, so this is closest to?
Closest to.
251.
So we got 250 and 251. Is that your final answers, both of you?
Yeah.
Cool.
That is some strategy. Well done, Matt. The correct answer is 790.
There you go. Well done, Matt.
Thanks, VK.
Yeah,
You gave that to me.
Yeah.
You gave that to me.
I looked at it the other day and I was like, I only had like 200 views. I don't know. But
yeah, well, I've obviously got a few more since then.
well done, Matt. Good win.
Only the second person to take down ZK.
Yeah.
Thank you. What a miraculous comeback, but I'll take it.
I have to say, some of the people who've come on before, I think they might be cheering you on, but they're also slightly annoyed about it at the same time.
I think there's been much better performers than me, but look, a win's a
Maybe
win.
did I make the questions a little bit too hard this week? I don't know. We'll find out.
Got to keep it challenging. Thank you for coming on, Matt. And
We have found out.
Yeah, I've been found
No,
out.
thanks for having me on. Thank you so much, and good luck and enjoy the rest of the season because it's a great merge.
Thanks, Matt. Well done, and well done to you, and well done for everything that you've done and all your crewing. You're the best. Cheers. I've been defeated, Dani. How sad.
Oh my goodness, I was like sad. I wish my reactions were on screen there because I was just like the whole time. I was just like, and it's not that I don't care. Excuse me, I enjoy watching it every week. I just have no interest in being partaking in this challenge.
There's some good comments here because unfortunately,
my
Dani can't do the
computer has
comments at
gone
the
kaput.
moment.
I am on my phone. I have lost admin privileges.
But this one would have been great. This CK is like, are you sure you don't need to ask me who threw it? That's the question, right? I just saw they were both still up there when the challenge ended. I'm going to go to the video on that, Jules. Just
Look, I did watch the episode on like 2 times speed, but I'm fairly certain CM was the last one there.
I will be checking this.
Right.
It could be another controversial victory.
That's fine. I almost made the Canberra 2 question, how many votes were negated? But I thought that's too easy, so I'll make it if you play the other first. And he got it.
Yeah. No, that was a good question. That was tough.
And because there were 4 idols played, I'm like, that gives me my 4 options.
Yeah, it was good. That was really good. The questions continue to be elite. Thank you, Jules. Thank you for everyone tuning in. It was a very long episode.
I want to know our predictions. Who goes home next?
Takan,
you reckon? Okay. I think you might be right with Pink. Ooh.
It's not multiple tribes anymore. They've merged.
No, I know, but I think they're going to be targeted, that little group.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say DC. Just because I think Takan might be right.
I think Tara's in trouble.
Yeah. I think our boy Mark can save her at least one episode. He's got an idol and a super idol.
One more in him, and then he's unless he finds something, he's in danger.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. It was a long episode. I know because we had all these interviews. Moving forward, we'll just have the one interview, and TWIOLSH will be a bit more of a balanced length. But thank you to everyone that stuck around for the whole show. Thank you for Matt for coming on. Thank you, Jules and Dani, as always. We'll be back this time next week to cover episode 7, and we look forward to seeing you then.
Bye.